Hi, Libby. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business.
Hey Lou, I'm really happy to be here. Very
This
excited.
is
Lots to
crazy.
share
I mean,
today.
this is crazy how long it's taken us to do this. Legit.
I know, I know, but we're here
We
now.
are, and this is so
Yay!
fun. This is great for both of us. I'm so happy to have you here. And
Yeah.
like you want to talk about licensing. And if I had a nickel, Libby, for every time a designer said to me, "How do I get into licensing?" I would be able to retire from everything. And of course, what I say to every designer is, "Why do you want to get into licensing?" So I'm just delighted to have someone with your experience here talking about it. And what's interesting is that I have learned that your portfolio of licensed products really hits all categories: furniture, lighting, wall decor, and home accessories. I mean, the only thing really missing there is rugs, but I mean, rugs is probably in the accessories, right? So you tell me where we're starting, Libby. You are the master. You tell me where we're starting.
I think I really started where my career started. This is a second, third, fourth career for me, interior design. I started actually in makeover TV. I started on a show on Fox called Design Invasion, where I'd have 12 hours and $6,000 to make over a room I'd never seen before. So that was how I learned about interior design. And it was later in life for me. I was newly divorced and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I auditioned for this show, and I thought I would audition as the host, and they said, no, you're going to be the host and the interior designer. And I was like, I just got divorced. What's the worst that could happen? The worst just happened. Let me give it a shot. And so that was how I got into interior design. And after I did the show, then I opened up my own design firm in New York, Libby Interiors. And I think at that point, as crazy as it sounds, I knew I wanted to get into
You
licensing.
just knew it.
And I'm a big goal setter. I'm a really big goal setter. I write down 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And it's just always revolving. It's
Wow.
always rotating and changing. And I think I knew I wanted to make money.
Mm.
And I felt that licensing would eventually be a great way for me to make money because I wasn't sure starting out so late in life in design, I didn't go to school for it. Was I ever going to be that architectural digest designer that's like making a gazillion dollars? And so as crazy as it sounds, I knew I wanted to get into licensing that
Wow.
early in my career. And it was, I think it was a 10-year goal in 2003. But I think I knew I needed to do a lot before I could actually go out and try to get into that arena of licensing. And I was going to need to build my business and build my website. And I ended up doing another show on HGTV called Small Space, Big Style. And then from there, I wrote a book about design in small spaces. So all of it was eventually leading to what I thought would get me ready and make me appealing enough to secure a licensing deal. So that was kind of where it started. Where it is now is kind of amazing, and I love both parts of my career. I really do, and I kind of feel like my business has three prongs to it. The first prong is obviously my interior design business and my clients. The second prong is the licensing and product design, and then the third prong is the media part of what I do,
Mhm.
whether it's a book or television or YouTube or writing or contributing to magazines. And I think all three of those worlds meld together really well to support each separate prong.
So many things that I have questions about in there. So the first question I have, which really has nothing to do with licensing, but let's get this off the table, is the first career going to the audition for the to be the host of the TV show. Had you come from TV and media and that's where you knew, like, so that was just like, I'm divorced, but I'm going to stay in my same lane.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So I I worked in movies and television. I did voiceovers. I did TV commercials. So that was for sure
Gotcha.
my first, that was absolutely my first career.
Gotcha, gotcha. I
Definitely.
never knew
Yeah.
that about
Yeah.
you. It's always very clear how comfortable and how professional you are, whether it's in person doing a presentation or on TV when I've seen you, or even, Instagram now where you do your different things. But I
Yeah.
didn't realize that that was, actually, because that's where your career was. Okay. Now, talking about, it's funny because what do you do before? Like, like when we have those designers that come up to you and come up to me and they're like, I want to do licensing. I want to do this. And the question is, what do you do before? So you were saying you had TV work, design TV work. You wrote a book. You had your website in order. You had your clients in order. Are they all necessary? Or if a new designer, and I don't even care, Libby, I don't even mean to say new designer. I need new to licensing. Somebody could be designing 20 years and decide they
Yes.
want to go into licensing, but do they need to, like, say, let's take a respected designer, 20-year designer in Oshkosh, USA, and great portfolio of beautiful work. And you and I both know that there's designers who do great work and there's designers who work. So I'm saying, let's assume great work. Let's assume
Yeah.
truly talented, right? Is is it still like, look, I know you got 20 years career. I know you got 20 years experience. I know you got a 20-year portfolio of relevant work, but you're going to need some of these other things. Is that the thing, Libby? Yeah.
Yes, yes. The secret sauce to it, you have to have a promotional platform.
Okay.
You have to. It's paramount. There's absolutely no reason for a manufacturer to partner with a designer unless the designer has a voice, has an audience, knows their lane, is ready to get out and promote it, is prolific. And so I would say that's probably one of the biggest things is they need to know you're going to get out there and sell it, and you have to have the ears of your audience.
Gotcha.
They need you to bring them a new audience. And it doesn't matter if it's television or Instagram or there are a lot of different ways to do it. And that's an exciting thing right now. There's so many different channels, YouTube. And so there are a lot of different ways to tackle it. But at the end of the day, they need to know you're not just coming in and designing product and saying, oh, all right, this is great. I'm going to show up at market for a few hours and then it'll be great.
It'll be just
It's
so
not
good.
like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that. And I think the other thing is the promotion is really where the work begins. As crazy as that sounds. And I just introduced 21 new pieces of furniture for Fairfield
Holy crow.
in the April market. The work starts at the market. I'm walking through the sales reps. I'm telling them why I designed something the way I did. I'm walking the buyers through. I'm shooting videos. I'm collecting content that I'm going to be able to use for the next 6 months until the October market. So it's there's so much work that goes into it. It's so much more than people just saying, oh, I just want to put my name on something, this is going to be fun, and we'll have a
Right.
party.
There'll be cocktails and my picture will be on the side.
It'll be great, and I'll have a logo. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So again, there's 19,000 things in there. So the thing is, I want to clarify, it isn't necessary that we have all the platforms. We don't have to have Instagram and YouTube and a book and a TV show, but we have to have a significant following of some sort. We have to have a significant bunch of ears and eyeballs of some sort that they can
Yes,
sink their teeth into and say, valid, good for you. Let's
yes,
invest in this. Okay. That's number
yes,
one. You use the phrase, here's what you said. You have to have a platform, a voice, audience, knows their lane, and prolific work. And I want to just point out, knows their lane. In the past, I know you know Robin Barron. In the past, Robin has said to us, you have to have a point of view. And so to me, that's the equivalent of knows your lane, right? So talk to me a little bit about like, what's your point of view? What's your lane? And give us and use it as an example of how someone could explore, well, what is their point of view and what is their lane?
Yeah. So my lane, I have always been very clear from the beginning. I definitely defined who I am, what my design style is. I say easy, elegant, everyday style. And those are three very carefully chosen words. And so my lane, the easy is that's me. I'm approachable. I'm not stuck up. I'm not, stuffy. I'm not too precious about things. I think design should be accessible and it should be fun. I think the elegant is you can have elevated design and do it on a lot of different budgets. I started in Makeover TV, 12 hours and $6,000. I know how to rock IKEA and Home Goods if I need to. And also that was my audience for Makeover
Sure.
Television, no matter what show I was doing.
Mm.
They wanted me to share information and give them the tools on how they could do this themselves. And so I have the easy, the elegant, and the everyday. Easy, elegant, everyday style. The everyday is that's who my clients are. They have kids, they have pets, they have friends who drink red wine. They need design for reality. So when I was thinking in terms of looking at licensing and what my lane was, I had already boiled this down into easy, elegant, everyday style. And I also knew that my voice was not going to probably reach the crazy super duper high end, only to the trade showrooms. I was very mindful. If I was going to design lighting, I wanted to design lighting for a company where somebody could be in their pajamas at 2 in the morning on their computer buying a chandelier.
Interesting.
I didn't want people to only have to work with a designer to use my products. So that was a very fiscally minded approach to it, knowing my lane, knowing my audience, and knowing that I was getting into this to make money.
Hmm.
And if people could only get my products through designers, that was just going to whittle down my opportunity to make money. So for sure, knowing my lane helped me also find the right partners. I will say I did have a licensing agent at one
Hmm.
point, and that was not a great fit for me. Um, they tried to just partner me with anybody that they knew. And what happened was there was one company that they introduced me to, and the products ended up being so incredibly expensive. I don't think I was even going to be able to put them in my own design
Oh,
projects.
interesting.
So that was way out of my lane and not a good option. So if you know your lane, you can find that partner where you're getting something from them and they're getting something from you.
I love that because the thing about it is I'm sure you're quite capable of designing at that level, but it's not what you do. It is not where your firm is. It's not where you're, it doesn't sound like it's you're happy. You're a smart woman. You could change your lane if you wanted. And,
Yes.
I mean, that's an interesting thought. And you could see how I could see how someone with less self awareness, with having spent less time in investigating their own self and what they want out of it, would be like, well, this might be who I design, living rooms for. But yeah, I want these chandeliers here where who they are is going to come in and buy it for their AD clients and not really understanding that disconnect. I mean, that's a look in the mirror and know your lane moment, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I would say one of the things is for sure with the licensing, I know my lane. And I think what's fun is since I've gotten into licensing, I do feel like my business has grown and we are doing projects at different levels
Right.
and buying things I never thought in a million years I would be putting in projects. And so that has been fun, and the budget's getting higher and working in all sorts of neat areas of the world. So I'm not saying that people can't grow, but I'm saying the strength of when you want to enter into
Yes.
licensing, you for sure want to know your
I
lane.
hear that. I hear that. And of course, your brand recognition is growing. And so therefore the who they are's want you to do their work. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Makes total
Yes.
sense. And the thing is, I think it probably makes sense that some designers do enter the market and enter at that above lane. And therefore they probably need to think about, are they designing at that point? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I know it goes up and down. Look, we have, who they are designing at whatever. So, okay. Okay. I love though. The cool thing is the clarity. It's the self-awareness and the clarity. Now, question for you. Two things in here. The one is I'm going to go to what you just said, that the licensing agent was not a good fit. Um, two things about that. I can listen. You, by the time you get to have a licensing agent, you are not 25 years old. Now, you're not getting led around by your nose, right? You are in a
Exactly.
relationship and you're like, this is not the right fit. Like, this is the door you knock on. I walk through it. We're in the wrong house. Like, stop it. This is not my people. This is not where we should be pitching. But could you imagine somebody with less business savvy might be like, they could follow the agent around for probably a year or two and nothing comes of it, and the agent turns around and goes, well, you really didn't have it, kid, no chops, right? Like, but really sometimes
Yeah.
we need to be able to say, this isn't right and I feel like it's not right, but that's not so easy to do, is it?
It's not so easy to do. And I think sometimes, because I joke with everybody and I say, my day job is an interior designer. My side hustle is product design. And when you do have your regular firm and you're doing projects and you're going to site visits, it's a lot to figure out how to reach out to people and make the time. And it feels nice, the idea that a licensing agent would be able to do all of that for you. And you know what? There are probably some great ones
Mm-hmm.
out there. I just didn't find what was the right fit for me. And every now and then, if someone's trying to kind of represent you, and they maybe don't represent you in the perfect way, and you just slightly wince, you
Yes.
just go,
Yes.
I wouldn't have said it like
That's
that,
right.
or. So, for me, at a certain point, I just thought, I'm going to represent myself better than somebody else would. But I totally get, if somebody has a good partnership and they work well together and they get each other and they're all on the same page, that can end up being a great way to enter it as
Yeah,
well.
and I imagine it is, and I think it's no different than every other hard lesson we learn in our business. Like, sometimes the junior designer we hire is like, you're saying, "Oh my goodness, we don't say that to our clients," and other
Right.
times you're like, "You're amazing. You're going to run my company someday." Like, you
Yeah.
get the feeling, but I think sometimes with quote unquote experts, it's almost like that syndrome about doctors, like not telling a doctor, like, you're out of line. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, like,
Right.
it's almost like I could see how you could believe and second guess yourself because it's an agent. Like, they have to know.
They do this all the
Yes, yes.
time.
But I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that you recognize that it wasn't. And so, so what did it end up being? It ended up being born out of relationships, probably, is my guess, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing is, um, you have to be out there. You have to
Mhm.
be out there, and you have to really be out there. I have not had any partnerships happen because someone just contacted me in my office. I've had partnerships happen because I went to a cocktail party at the furniture market for With It, and met the head of sales of a company, or somebody knew somebody else. It's networking. It's being out there in the industry and being visible,
Mhm.
and not just visible to new potential um, partners, but visible to people that you might be selling product to eventually. So you have just got to be out there, and you've got to meet people. And sometimes when I am headed back from the furniture market and I show up at the airport in Greensboro and somebody's like, Libby, I just want to die. I'm done. I'm toast. It's been small talk for 7 days. I'm exhausted. I still give
But
a
that's right,
hey,
big smile.
hey, yeah. So, but I think you have to be out there and you have to be in it. You've
Yeah.
got to really be in
Yeah,
it.
it is that, we did, you probably didn't see it, but we created a docuseries about this journey.
Oh, yes. No, I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing all these
Yeah.
amazing
Yes,
clips.
and it really is the story of the relationships of the industry, of us together doing it, because whether it's learning from one designer about a great bookkeeper, or learning from somebody at a cocktail party about somebody who's interested in a licensing partner, like it really is. It just is not something. The example I always marvel at, and it illustrates it so perfectly, and it's so funny because, first of all, Carrie Underwood, right? I mean,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on, this kid has got a voice, like, stop, right? Like, it's just, I don't care if you
Yeah.
like her music or not, you can't
Yeah,
debate
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And every single Sunday when she used to come on football season, you're like, I'm like in the house and I have to like come into the living room for just her, like, it's Sunday, whatever the damn song is, and the thing is, I can remember shortly after she was on American Idol and her hits started to come out. And I was never American Idol watcher. My mom, though, has watched from day one, continues. She loves it. And,
Okay.
one day I'm sitting there, belting out the Carrie Underwood song at, the beach house or whatever. And she's like, she was the American Idol. And I didn't even know if she won. Maybe she's winner or runner up. I don't know. And I was like, really? And that's when I sat and I thought about it. And I was like, this kid was out in the universe. No one would have known about her. And what's interesting is, in April of this year, 2024, Vinny and I are really starting to actively get his bucket list done, which is to put feet in all 50 states. And we have
Love
like
it.
14 states left. So we had to be in Dallas for 12 days. And I was like, Oklahoma and Arkansas are right near here. Like, let's do these two, right? So what we do is we hop a short flight from Dallas to Oklahoma. We go and we do the Oklahoma City Bombing Museum, which is
Wow.
amazing, and
Wow.
just
I haven't
so,
been.
like, put you in touch with reality, right? But we
Yeah.
spend a night there, we rent a car, we drive to Arkansas. Out of the blue, we like take this wild, like, let's go on this rest stop. And it's not like Jersey where it's like Starbucks is here and Annie Ann is here. Like, it's just like, get off. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. And so we get off and we make the turn, and there's this big sign, hometown of Carrie Underwood. And we're like, wait, what? It's a town of 2,000 people. I swear to God, it's 2 dirt roads. You knew this kid came from nothing, but it was like,
Yeah.
and I just sat there and I was like, if not for the opportunity of American Idol, if she, to your point, did not, whoever it was, her family, put her hat in the ring and say, and to your point, going to the cocktail party, going to the SID, going to the IDS meetings, this is putting your hat in the ring, right, Libby?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it's not just going to the party and talking to the people that you know.
Yes.
It's
Out of
meeting the
your
people
lane.
that you don't know.
Yes,
get
out of your
out and
box.
meet people. Get out of the
Yeah,
box.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, question for you. So, we're going to say, for the most part, that it's the relationships, right? It's all of this groundwork. And of course, we've done the pre groundwork is I'm bringing a point of view, I'm bringing an audience, and now I'm going out and I'm meeting the potential people that can introduce me and make the relationships with the people who make these decisions. But what is it like? When you are thinking about designing your first collection or first product, whatever it was, are you like, I have this burning idea for this lighting that no one has? Like, is it like, I remember Robin saying, look, if you have an idea, research the marketplace. Is there a gap there? But when you put 21 pieces of furniture out, like, is there still gaps in the marketplace for furniture? I don't know.
They're not they're not gaps. You know, a funny story, when I first launched my lighting for Christorama, I launched with 3 collections. So I started with 3 collections, and I had never been to the Lightovation market
Mm,
in Dallas.
okay.
And so I went and I was all excited and ready and can't wait. My new product's coming out. This is great. I walked the Lightovation market and I was so depressed because I said, you know what? The world doesn't need another lighting fixture. They're already all here in every one of these freaking
And they're
showrooms.
one is
I'm not
prettier
going to
than the
sell
next.
I'm not going to sell a thing. They've already got everything here. This is crazy. And lo and behold, we just so happen to sell some lighting fixtures. So it's difficult. I do think the a really important thing was to not cannibalize the company that you're working with. Don't start designing things that look like what they already have.
Gotcha.
I partnered with Christorama because they were known for very traditional, very ornate crystal, classic kind of crystal chandeliers. So I came in with lanterns and pendants and drums and geometric patterns, and it just completely was a whole new look for them. So I think the important thing is, agreed, you don't want to start doing what people are already doing. You do want to see what is out in the marketplace. One of my favorite places to start with inspiration, if Chris, my designer in our office, if somebody shows us a picture on Instagram or Pinterest, we'd love this chair. And I'm like, oh, that's a great looking chair. Let's look for that chair. If 2 of us or 3 of us in the office look for a week and a half and we can't find that chair, I'm designing that chair. So that's a really good place to start
Okay.
for sure. And then there are things that I see where I just get inspiration, travel, museums. I mean, my phone is just so jacked up with pictures, but it's really the best place for me to start. So yeah, I think the inspiration kind of comes from everywhere.
Interesting.
But again, you really do have to craft a story. So
Yes.
after I've designed everything and it is actually coming to market, then I, as the designer, have to write all the romance copy. I
Yeah.
have to write all the descriptions, why, I did the metal channel of this leg, it's square, why this finish on this ottoman is champagne brass. There's a story behind all of it. And if I can tell that and get it out there, oh, it helps me sell it.
Sure.
Oh, it helps me sell it. It also helps all the sales reps for all the companies get out there and sell
And the
it.
designers ultimately sell it to their clients, right? It makes the pieces
Exactly.
memorable. There's meaning attached to them, right?
Yes, and there's a reason why the chair is a reverse slope arm. There's a reason for everything. It's not just, haphazard. And the other thing I think that's important is I feel a real responsibility to my partners. You have never seen me show a hot pink velvet tete-a-tete sofa because I've never had a client who's wanted a hot pink tete-a-tete velvet sofa. So I think I go into it with a very stylish, elevated designer approach, but I also go into it with user friendly, is it really going to sell approach?
Yes.
And it costs manufacturers so much money to invest in samples and all the things that they do. I feel a real responsibility to them. And also ultimately for myself, I'm just again doing this to make
Right.
money.
It's it's
We can be real
crazy.
fancy and real frilly about it, but that's really what it boils down to.
Exactly.
That is what it boils down to. And it's interesting to me when I hear people say, don't get into licensing for the money. why are you doing
Mhm.
it? And if it is a vanity license, it's not gonna last very
Mm.
long, and
Right, if what you
nothing.
create isn't actually a sellable product that makes an impression on the marketplace, then it's almost like a one-hit wonder in on back in the days of the 45 records, right?
Yes, it's a one-hit wonder, and nothing feels worse than not having things sell.
Yes.
And, so I think it's just really important that you're not just doing something crazy because you
Right,
can.
right, 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 right. So, question in there, when you mentioned, how Christorama did not have the barrels and the different types of lighting that they had, the more classic, crystal chandelier sort of look, is Is that like, to me, that seems like that needs to be a conversation ahead of time. Like, are you looking to step out of your box, Christorama? Because otherwise, that's like, pitching an IKEA room to AD. They're like, "What are you doing, sweetie? This is we do
Yeah,
classic." So just to clarifying, we don't go with something out of the box and make an assumption because with the brand we're working with, we gotta clarify what are they looking for as well, correct? Okay,
exactly.
good.
And so that goes back to knowing your lane and knowing what you can bring to a partner and the new audience that you can bring to a partner.
Gotcha.
They didn't need me to do the big crystal chandelier. They had that covered. They needed me to bring them a new design aesthetic and a new customer, and that was what happened.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, it's that what you're saying is they're like, we got classic nailed.
Yes.
Everyone with classic
They
comes to
don't need
us.
you for that.
Right.
Yep.
But we as a company have made an initiative that we want to reach out to a different design aesthetic. And we think you're the person to walk them through our front door.
Absolutely. And I think initially, every meeting I've had with a company, I have done my research on them.
Hmm.
I know what they're offering, I know where their price point is, and I also know what I'm going to be able to bring to them. And I can very easily convey and converse what I'm going to bring to them and what the new aesthetic
Gotcha.
is. You have to know that. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're sitting there and you're meeting with them the first time and you're showing them your design ideas, but you do have to be able to clearly, easily, and concisely verbalize what you are bringing and what that aesthetic is all
Right,
about.
right, right, right. Because, there's a lot of designers out there. They don't need you specifically. They need their initiatives to be met and their goals to be met. And if you can communicate that you can be part of that, great. If not, keep moving. Next out of the lane. Let's let Sally in. Right.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So again, it just goes back to boiling down who you are, what you do, and what you're going to bring to the table.
Um, okay. You just said you kind of bristle at when you hear people, and I've heard it a billion times, don't go into licensing for, expecting to make a lot of money. So here's the thing. I've had good heart to heart conversations with designers that do have licensing deals. And
Yeah.
often there isn't a lot of money. You're talking about a 1% on a blah, 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 blah. Um, what is the key then? Is the key having 6 different products across a 5, 6 different categories? Is it the key in what you said, designing product that is gonna go out to the homeowner at home as well as the designer? Is it really when the designer is designing for designers that it's tougher to make money? Like, where are we at with that?
Yeah, so for sure, I think if you are designing product that's only sold to the trade, and say you're designing a rug that's $30,000, if you sell one rug, that's not great.
Right, right, right.
If you're selling um 200 so
Yes,
you have to really look at the
yes.
numbers. And so for me, definitely it was that consumers could buy my product as well as
Right,
designers.
right.
That's been the secret sauce for me for
And
sure.
that's also
Um,
a decision for you and your lane. In other words, somebody
yes,
else might say, I only want to design for trade. And they got to figure
yes,
out, like, maybe that revenue stream isn't going to be as lucrative, but they've got other ways that they've got revenue streams or whatever.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I think the most important thing is just make the conscious choice as you're starting to move through the
Yeah.
process, just knowing where you want that to land. But I think also that knowing what sales force is and how many reps do these different companies
Mm.
have, that for me is a biggie. If they have great representation maybe in the Southeast and there's nothing out west or there's nothing in the Midwest, you're missing a whole bunch of people that want to buy stuff for their homes.
Wow.
So for me, a big thing is asking what kind of sales force do they have, because that's when it gets going, because those people are out selling my products long after I've designed
That's
them.
right.
And that is what I want. I don't want it just to be, I want people traveling and saying, oh, we have a collection from Libby Langdon. We have this, we have that. They're literally going into stores and retailers. And so it's just a constant selling. So if you're only relying on interior design trade showrooms, there's a lot that has to sync up.
Yes.
The designer has to get in there. They have to see your product. The client has to be wanting something that looks like what you've designed. So there's a lot that has to really sync up that
Right, right,
way.
right.
And so for me, I wanted, and I used to joke, and I probably wasn't joking, but when I got into this, I said I want to have a global
Yeah,
empire,
yeah, yeah.
and that's
It's
okay. That is okay to say, people. If that's what you want,
in our world,
put
we
it
call it the
out
empires,
there.
aka the empire. I
Put it
like
out there. Why not? What's the worst that could happen?
you have a
So,
mini kingdom instead of an empire. It's all
I
good.
love it. It's all good. Yeah. So, but I think a certain dose of fearlessness has to come with all of this as well. You can't worry what people are going to think about you. You can't worry about the no's. You can't worry about the doubt.
Because those
You,
are there, right, Libby?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
See that?
gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to watch it on YouTube.
Yes.
She's like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
The
hell
no's
yes.
come, the doubts
Absolutely.
are there, the days you wake up like, why am I
Yeah.
doing this? No one's ever going to buy
Yeah.
this, right?
And I think sometimes it can happen that, um, a perfect example is for me, I set up my whole area at the Fairfield showroom. We call it the Libby Zone. So I have my lighting, I have my wall decor, I have accessories, I have all the furniture. And what's fascinating is even the people that are at Fairfield that are, the creative people, and they're kind of doing all the rest of the showroom, they have no idea how it's going to all come together until I get down there. I've been there for 48 hours. I set up the showroom and I'm like, let's cut some flowers, open the doors, we're ready. So they don't even know what it's really going to look like. So you do have doubt. And every now and then people are like, oh, she's putting that with that. But as designers, we have that
Yes.
vision. And so you have to still trust in that vision, even in product design. And I will say, I mean, I've designed some really ugly stuff, some just terrible stuff. And some things kind of are happy accidents, and then that sells like crazy. So you have to get out of judging yourself. No self-censoring. Stop telling yourself no. Um, you've just got to go with it. And if it doesn't work, it's all going to be okay.
Right.
It's like Doritos. We'll make more. It's not over.
Ah,
It's not over.
I
It's going to be all
did
right.
you ever see the movie The Most Exotic Marigold Hotel or whatever? Oh my god, you gotta
No.
watch it, Libby. You're gonna love it. It's a
Okay.
totally our
Okay.
generation movie. Um,
Okay.
but
Good.
like that kid, I think his name is Dev Patel. He's a young
Oh
Indian
yes.
actor, right? He's the
Yes.
lead in it. And of course, I mean, all the people are in it. It's a good movie. It's an old movie. It's 10 years old, whatever it is. But it's like he says, don't worry, everything works out in the end. And if it didn't work out, it's not the end.
Yeah. Exactly. It's going to be fine. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
If it didn't work out, it's
It's
not
not
the
the end.
end.
Just
Yeah.
keep going,
Yeah.
right? So,
Totally.
okay, so now interesting, piggybacking on the the self-judgment and the pulling the back and the second guessing. What is like the design process like I'm a creative person, Libby. First of all, I don't know how to do interior design. So let's just say even a designer, a talented designer who's a creative person doesn't mean that you know how to design a light or design a sofa. Like, do you know that you actually, and you might have discovered it. Like I'm all about, like I decided to do the podcast before I actually knew I was going to be good at it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my way out. This is
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
retirement business and this is how we're going to make money. And I remember
Yeah.
thinking, I wonder if you're going to be any good at this. I'm like, that's not the part we're going to worry about, folks. Right. But
Nope.
like, I really do know that, oh, I found the seat that I'm supposed to be in. Like it just worked out. And
Yes.
so is it that the ability to design for you, you knew it was there, or as you did it because you made a business decision to do it, and then it was like, oh, well, shoot, I can actually do this. Like, I don't think it's just there, right? Like, I mean, you have to,
It,
like, and I don't
it's
mean it's not just
strange.
there, but not anybody can do it, right?
You're right. Not anybody can do it. And I will say my processes for my different licensing, each one is very different,
Interesting.
very, very different. So for the furniture for Fairfield, I sometimes see pictures of things and I'm sitting with clients all day, every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
If they see a sofa and they're like, oh, I don't like that leg. I don't like that arm. I wish the cushion was like this. That's probably a great place to start.
Right.
And so for me, my furniture starts with really bad sketches, some pictures of finishes or a leg style or a type, but I'm literally sketching it and I'm saying, the arm of the chair is this high. The width of the arm is this wide. The welt is 3/4 down. There needs to be an extra seam here. It needs to be a 1-inch crown. A lot of it I learned obviously as I got
Right.
going. But I think actual dimensions, what's the back of a chair height? What's the dimension of a leg? And it was fascinating for me with Fairfield because all the guys in their PD, it's all men. Everybody in their product development area, it's all men. And they were used to doing some things that were a little bit more classical, a little more traditional, a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to lean everything down. Let's get a little sleeker. I want the silhouettes to be a little more refined, a little more tailored. And so that was a learning curve for us in collaborating. They would draw the leg this big and I would be like, yeah, in the sketch it actually started at 1.5 inches and it goes down to 1.25 inches. Let's fix it. So with Fairfield, I'll do all the sketches. I send everything through. Then they have CAD departments that they do the actual pitch of the back of the chair.
Mm.
I don't know how to do any of
Right,
that.
right, right,
That is their jam. These people do this all day, every
right.
day. I let them do that. For Christorama, I start out with bad sketches. Then Chris in my office, he does all the CAD, and that is very specific because I'm getting old and I can't see anything. I need light fixtures that have good, big, bright
It's the truth.
bulbs.
There's nothing
I
worse than
can't
bad lighting when you're trying to work.
I cannot take it.
Either.
So things like, I know that 1/4 inch of the metal channel is the smallest I can go for the cords to go through. How is it gonna ship? How are they gonna dismantle it? How is it gonna arrive in a box? Not every 40-inch chandelier can come in a 60-inch box. So there's a lot that goes into it. And is it a candelabra bulb? Is it a regular type bulb? What's the value perception? So we do all the CAD for that, and then that gets sent to the Christorama people in the factory. And then for Paragon, for the wall decor, they were super upfront. They said, we think we want to partner with you, but we just need you to know you're not coming down here and saying, oh, I think I want to do something with some boats. They said, you literally have to supply us if it's photography, if it's original oil whatever it is. So there's an artist that does abstract paintings for me. I take a lot of the photographs. I take most of the photographs. Sometimes I'll find old plates that are in public domain and we'll reverse them in the office, so it's just coming up with stuff. And I think also trying a lot of different things. And but they were just super upfront, and they said, "This is if you want to partner with us, you are responsible for bringing this content." And they have amazing artists there that if I say, "Could we paint some silver leaf on this?" they do that
Right.
in their big factory in Alabama. They're awesome. But again, I think sometimes people think you could just partner with somebody and they'll say, "Oh, here are 6 chairs. Which 3 do you want to put your name on?" And
Right. No.
it is
Yeah.
it is not that
No.
process. You've really got to bring a lot to the table. So, and the designing process is tough. And I say prolific because I'm doing it every 6 months.
Yeah.
I got back from the furniture market on Thursday. On Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and part of Monday, I worked on all the new product for
Holy crow.
October and then April 2025. So
Wow.
and I love it. I really do. I'm not complaining at
Yes.
all, but every now and then I have a little crybaby moment where I'm sitting there with a ponytail and I'm in my yoga pants and I look at my husband and I'm like, "I don't want to be working right now." Eh. But
Big
anyway,
girl
I get
panties,
through it.
right?
Exactly. You get through it. You get through it and do
It's
it.
the truth. I have
Yeah.
one other question that's on my mind. I'm not promising it won't bring up other questions when you answer it, but we'll see. Um, the how much do you think, like you would in the last bit of the conversation that you just had, you shared things that really in my mind speak to things have to be you have to have again self-awareness in having a point of view in the sofa design. And why is the leg 1.5 going down to 1.25, and you have to bring stuff to the table. It's not like you said you're just going to stick your name on 3 things that are already existing. I also heard throughout the conversation that you alluded to, it has to be designed at a price point that fits the company that you're working with, because if all their chandeliers are $5,000, you can't design a $200 one or a $20,000 one.
Yeah.
I also heard that you probably have to be open to some adjustments on value engineering. Like if you had said, "This is the kind of legs I want," they're like, "Sweetie, that's not going to work." So my question is, I imagine a lot of that you have learned through all of these experiences. How much do you think somebody has to bring to the table, not just in the knowledge of the process of the design process, but we didn't talk about, but just as far as the business process, like, you know, I'm sure each of these collections, you probably have a different type of financial arrangement. And I don't think it's necessary to go into all of them, but I'm just saying, what do I have to know that I don't know? Or can I be like, "Hey, we met each other and you checked me out, I checked you out. I've been ordering from your company for 20 years. We're good to go." But actually, I know nothing about the legalities of licensing or the process of it. Is that like, I'm sorry, then stop at go? Or will most companies work you through it and you can hire a lawyer to work you through or whatever?
For sure, you have to have an attorney before you do anything,
Mhm.
without a doubt. The minute you're in conversation, you've definitely need to have a licensing attorney. And I have a fabulous one who I've worked with for so long, and he's absolutely amazing. And you need to be protected in that way. And I mean, there are a lot of different ways to move through it. Do I think you have to know everything? Definitely
No.
not. I don't think you have to know. I didn't know everything for sure. I was figuring it out as I went along. But I do think that again, that responsibility of figuring things out and bringing a lot. And I will say, I always design way more than I know they're going to bring to market. So
Okay.
you have to bring a lot. You can't just bring these 10 things and say, "Yeah, so I think we're good.
Yeah.
Let's do this." You've got to bring way more, because there also might be a chance that some things you're designing, they might already have in the hopper. So
Yes.
for me, also, I don't like a capsule collection. I like a full on collection. I want a lot. That just gives me more chances to make money. So I'm always designing way more than I need to, but in a way that's a protective thing.
Mhm.
It makes sure that it ensures that I'm going to be able to have enough
Right,
product
right.
out
Like, they
there.
might say
So
no to 10 pieces, but you brought them 30, so saying no to 10 is
exactly.
fine.
Yay, 20's
Yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
Let's go.
And is that
Yeah,
something
exactly.
that is also part of those initial, like, because so in this last collection, you said you introduced 21 pieces, right? So, but
Yes.
there's a possibility that 5 pieces is the number, and maybe you have to design 15 to get it to 5. Is that also part of that first conversation? Like, how many pieces are you looking for? Do you want to ultimately end up with 5 or 10 or 20? Is that a valid thing to ask?
Absolutely, absolutely. So a capsule collection is sometimes what I think people will use just to get somebody. It's a low commitment. They could just bring in 5 or 6 pieces, and it really can end up just being a one-off or two-off for markets. It's just they're bringing the designer in, they're injecting a little excitement,
Yeah.
and they're not really committing to the collection as something to really keep. It doesn't have
You
legs.
know
You know
what's
what I'm
interesting?
saying?
I just heard the distinction of don't necessarily plan on making good money from licensing, because there is a lot of that. And I've never thought of it until
Yes,
you just said it, but there is a lot of it. This designer's in, she's got 5 or 6 pieces, great. And then we never hear about them the following market. This is a
exactly.
legitimate revenue stream for you that you are spending
Yes,
X amount of days every single month, you know, just like you were out designing. And this is not like a one
exactly.
off, one hit wonder.
No,
Okay, that's an
no.
interesting thing, because now that aligns with why we've had some designers who we know and respect say, don't do it for the money, because it's
Yeah,
not a prolific. And you did say that in the very beginning. And then I do have one final question, actually,
yeah.
is, you know, running a design business while you're doing this. You can't drop the balls over there. Like, you have to
Nope.
have good process and a good backbone happening at that design business, right, Libby?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing is all my clients are watching.
Yeah.
All my clients are
Yes,
watching.
yes.
So when I'm posting that I'm down in market and, "Oh, look, I'm setting up the showroom," they're like, "Oh, so
That's
she's not,"
why I didn't get my schedule
Yes.
this
So
week.
you you have to have processes that are strong enough so people are not feeling like I'm off designing this stuff and they're getting the Heisman. You know, you have to
Yes.
really make sure everybody is feeling taken care of. And so it's not a mistake too that sometimes I'm in High Point and I'm like, you know what? I am going to go out and I'm going to look for that cool pillow for the daughter's room for that project in Hawaii.
Yep.
And once I find it, I'm going to text it to the client and say, look what I found in High Point.
Yes.
So you have to always be thinking in terms of just making people feel like you're on
You're on
it.
top of it. You're on top of
You're
it.
on it.
I may
Yep.
look like a lunatic out here busying all the things, but you know what? You got your status email from us on Friday. You know exactly where everything is. And by the way, I
Yes.
found the silly pillow that we've been looking for 2 months.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, and I would say probably my interior design business is about 60 to 65% of what I do, and the licensing and product design is 35 to 40% of what I
Okay.
do.
Okay.
So, and I think the other thing is I look at different potential licenses and I see how much time am I going to need to spend doing it, and is the revenue versus the time commitment worth it?
Okay.
You have to really look at how long is it going to take you to create that product, and then how much are you going to really make off of that
Right.
product. You need to really analyze that and make sure it's time well
And
spent.
to your the earlier points that you made, like, do they have the sales team to go out and tell? Because if you're designing for, the sky, the earth, and the moon, whatever, it can be the most beautiful thing in the world. If their marketing team is also, it's funny because you mentioned they're looking for you to be an active partner in marketing, but you are also like, what is your ability to market and what are you committing? And is
Absolutely.
that part of the conversation that you have is like, what are you committing to marketing to this?
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. That has to be upfront. And I always, in the contracts, we incorporate a small percentage of what the overall earnings are for my products, that a small percentage of that always gets plugged into marketing. So, and it stinks. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been with companies before where I felt like I was just pulling that train up the hill by
Yeah.
myself, and I was like, I'm out here selling people. What are you doing?
I got the lemonade
And that
stand
feels,
open. Where are you?
I got it. I'm squeezing, I'm grinding. What are you doing? So that is frustrating too. So I think it's important to definitely ask and know what the capabilities are for a potential
Yeah.
partner.
And then this is the third time I'm saying this is the last question, but I really think it might be. I'm not asking you to share the name of your agent because, that's crazy. We can't have 10,000 designers calling him up or her up. But where do you find license? Like, is there 1-800 licensing agents? Like, where do you find these people?
As far as a licensing agent, I think you can, like, honestly, on social media, you can look at people that have different partnerships. And if you just roll up your sleeves and you dig into their social media or whatever,
Right.
you'll be able to see, oh, that person's representing that
Okay.
person, or that person's representing that person.
And you know what? I'm going to correct myself because I said agent and what I meant was lawyer, licensing
Yes,
lawyer.
so
That was
a
what I meant.
licensing attorney, you would be shocked, but there are actually a lot of larger firms that do have
That name.
divisions of that, because there's so many different types of it now.
Okay. And it
So,
doesn't need to be interior design specific. It's just they could be
right.
licensing something for Nike or whatever, right?
Exactly,
Okay, gotcha.
exactly. And honestly, if somebody's really serious and they're at a good point and they're needing a licensing attorney, DM me or send me a
Be
message through my
careful, my
website.
friend.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah. No, I mean, look, when somebody, I don't know, when you have like a lawyer isn't, a lawyer can't take 40 new clients this month. I mean, that's the
No,
thing. You know what I
no,
mean?
definitely
Yeah.
not. Definitely
So,
not. You have to be kind of close
yeah,
to something really happening to get to that
yeah,
stage.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I could keep saying for probably another hour, one more question, but you have really, really given us so much valuable information, Libby, on licensing, your perspective on it, the trials, the tribulations, the rewards, all of it. I mean, I'm not at all surprised, but I am grateful. Thank you, Libby, so
Oh,
much.
good. Oh my gosh, thank you. No, I'm excited, and it's one of the things that I love about your podcast so much is it's hard and fast tips and tactics real people can use. You're not dancing around anything, you're not BSing anybody, you're
Try not
cutting to the
to.
chase. And to be honest, any information all of us can get for our businesses, no matter what it
Yeah.
is just invaluable. And you are a real champion for our industry, and I just can't thank you enough.
Oh,
I was so excited to be on
thank you.
here.
I appreciate that, especially from you. Thank you.